Our next item on the tree list or the tree outline of sketching is constraints. Now, constraints, as I said, fixing. We've already seen the default constraints that come automatically while drawing. We have others that are not automatic, which you can set yourself. Number one, fixing endpoints. Now, I can fix endpoints. How? Let's take an example of this distance. I think this distance, so we can dimension this distance. It's a horizontal distance between these two. It's h32. Come look for that distance, h32. It is highlighted. As you can, when you click on it, it's highlighted. So I can make it 100. Enter. So this distance is 100. So if I'm doing maybe a structure, a very big structure, and I don't want to disturb this dimension, what you do, you fix it. You fix it. You come and click on fix, then fix this and this. I think when you fix it, it is highlighted in red that this cannot be changed. Let's try and change it and see. H32, it's 100. What if I make it 120? What happens if I make it 120? You see, it will say over defined dimension. It cannot be modified. So this implies that when you fix something, it cannot be changed. You're fixing it to be like that. All right, so we've seen that one. Then we have horizontal constraint. A horizontal constraint, it means you can have a line. Maybe you're drawing a line, a circle, anything, and you want it to be horizontal. You see it very well. When you click on it, it goes to be horizontal. Then I have another constraint, vertical. Vertical, and you click on it, it becomes vertical automatically. Then our next one is perpendicular. Still, I can have the same. I can draw similar lines, and I can draw one line there, another line here. I think these lines, they are just sloping. So if I want to have these two perpendicular, what do? I just come to the constraint, then I click perpendicular, then you click on the two lines. You see, when you click on the two lines, it makes them perpendicular. Then you can use other items like modify. You come to extend, you click on this. I think it touches, so it means it is perpendicular. It makes a 90 degrees between the two. Then our next constraint is tangent. We can get a line and make it tangent. So when you click on a tangent or any line, tangent, this line is a tangent to this circle. You see, it is constrained, but it is the circle that is moving to come to the line. It's not the line moving, because this distance is still fixed. It cannot be extended or reduced. So it is the circle that moves and creates this tangent. So you've created a tangent. This line, you made it to become a tangent to this circle. Then coincident. So coincident, we can let's use circles that are not tampered with, like this. So you come to constraint and say, I need something coincident to each other. That gives a perfect alignment. So when you click on this and to this circle, you see, it is coincident to each other. It means it has formed, the other circle has been made coincident to this one. Okay, next is a midpoint. A midpoint, we can take an example. Maybe I want this line to be in the middle of this rectangle. So what I do, I click on midpoint, then I select the line that I want to be in the middle, and I select the perpendicular line. So it has created a midpoint on this line, and this line has been put in the center. That's a midpoint constraint. Then symmetry. Symmetry. I'll need to draw Another one. Okay, symmetry. Let me still use this same rectangle. So symmetry means you're creating equal sides of a single polygon. Now take a look at this triangle here. This upper side, let us take our reference point at this x-axis. The x-axis, this side, the distance from the x-axis to the vertical distance is smaller than the vertical distance from here to down. So if you want to make it equal, you just create on symmetry. When you create on symmetry, it's going to ask you the axis. It's going to ask for the axis. So the axis, I want the x-axis. So when you create on the axis, it's going to ask you for the 2 points which you want to be symmetrical. So the first point is this point, and the second point is this, and there you go. So it has created equal distances between this polygon. So it means this polygon is now symmetrical vertically. So you can still do the same. You can make it symmetrical horizontally. That means you're going to use this line as our reference. Then you click to this point and click to this point. There you go. It is symmetrical horizontally. Because this line, remember, it is a midpoint that we created ourselves. Then we have parallel. I'll draw 2 lines to demonstrate that. Like this. Then you go back to up. If you want these lines to be parallel, you just come and click on parallel. Say I want this line to be parallel to this one to be automatically made. Then concentric, we can have our circle 1 and circle 2. Then if you want it to be concentric, you just click on concentric, then say this concentric to this. You see, one is bigger than the other, they are aligned, that is being concentric to each other. Then we have equal radius, equal length, equal distance. So if you want to make let me just fit in a little bit. Okay, there we go. So we can see that this circle is bigger than this circle. So if I want to create equal radius, I click on the big circle, then to this circle. So you see, they're now having, this was bigger than this. Now they're having the same radius. Then I can still do the same thing to this circle and this circle. I say this to be equal to this. Are you seeing the difference? Then I can still say this to be equal to this one down. You see? So they're having a similar radius. So even if I change the radius of any, though I didn't dimension it, let me dimension it. I show you. Okay, this one's over constraint. It's okay. It will not work still. Can leave that. We can't delete. So when you make equal radius, it means even if you change one, the rest will have the same radius. You don't need to dimension the rest. Okay, let's try this. Down here, I illustrate what we mean by equal radius. So if you might have very many circular things, very many circles in your drawing or your sketch, and you want to make all of them have the same dimension at once. So it means you don't have to dimension each of them separately. You just come and say, okay, let me first dimension this. I say this is D34. D34 is here. Let me make it 72. I'll leave it 72 point something. Let me leave it at 72. Yeah, there you go. So you can see this is bigger, all these ones are bigger than this. So just come to your constraints, you say equal radius. So equal radius, you see, equal radius, that one has changed. We can escape to make it all of them the same radius of this. So all these ones, when I measure them, when I go back to dimension, use general and measure them. So it's like I want to modify because they're all having the same. So when you go to check for D35, now you can see this is 72, this is 72. D35 and D34, they are equal. Even if you check this one, they'll have the same dimension because of this constraint of all of them having the same radius stroke diameter. Same thing happens to equal length and equal distances. Equal distances, I can still draw a line and say this line and this line. You see? Then you just come to constraints and say I want an equal length. So I want this long line to be the same like this one. So you click to the line and make this one. So you've seen it has become the same. You can still do that again. Say this line, I want it to be smaller like this one. So because this one is from this one, so when I change this one, it changes automatically. Okay. I can, these ones, I don't know if they were equal, but I can change and see. You see? So all these four lines are having the same distance, the same length. Equal distance, the same thing. We can measure, put a dimension, then say general, this distance, now I'll go to this and this, equal distance. So equal distance, so I can come to my constraint and say, though these ones are not parallel, but it is okay. We can still first make them parallel, right? Yep. Then, because now we know how to do it. Yeah. Then you can make equal distance. This and this should have equal distance with this and this. So the distance is the same. You can try measuring that by dimensioning. Then we can measure the length between this and this. Okay, it is saying over dimension because this distance is the same. So when you say 38 and 37, we look for the distances 38 and 37. That is L 37 and 38. Are you seeing? L 37 and 38 is the same. So we go back to our constraint. So you're almost finishing them. Auto constraint. This one is the one we saw, the one I showed you earlier, auto constraints, whereby if I'm drawing a line, you see they're all ticked on. If I'm drawing a line, I can repeat this again. If you're drawing a line, you see it has H, implying it's going to be purely horizontal. You see, parallel sign, implying it's going to be parallel to any line in this drawing because we have many of lines we've drawn. Then V, purely vertical. Then we have a T. I see that T that is coming. Just a minute. T, it means this line is a tangent to that circle. That is the automatic constraint that is set. Then lastly, we can go to settings. Settings, it's for grid. If you want to draw using a grid, you just come to settings, you click on grid, you're dealing in 2D. I think the grid, it is now on. When I turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. You can see the grid. Then you can say set the measure grid setting, it is 5. So you can zoom in and see, you see, it is 5 meters, the major. So the major, what we mean is this line and this line. The distance between this and this is 5 meters. Then you can look at the steps. How many steps do you want in between the major grid lines? From here to here, it is we say it is 5 meters. So we have 5 boxes. We can add them and make them 10. You see the difference? 10. Now you can see we've added the spacing between the major grid line. Now there are 10 steps. So we can, as snap per major, it is 1. You can see every single box is 1. As you can see, even the minor grids. So we've exhausted all the sketches. If you have to draw a sketch, so if you draw a sketch, you know everything that you can use. So after that, we can try this sketch. This is a range plan. All the dimensions are in millimeters, so we can sketch it in the fastest way possible. As we are going to do, we are going to sketch on the XY plane, and what I'm going to do first is draw a rectangle which is 12 by 40 and center it. So I can draw my rectangle. Then we can make it symmetric as we saw earlier along this line. Okay. Then we can put another symmetry along this line. Okay, such that our range is centered. Then we can now dimension. This is 40, and this is 12. Can't fit in. So then I can go for the circle, the behind circle with the hexagon. So I'm not going to draw a circle. I'm just going to draw using an arc. So I'm going to draw using an arc by 3 points, as you're going to see, like this. Then you can see the given radius. We shall input that. So then it's the same thing this side. I can do it for 2 sides at once, like that. Then I'll begin with this. I'll dimension it. Dimension this. It is a radius of 10. Okay. Then you can also dimension this one. It is 12.5. 12.5. Then you can still come and fit it. Then you can input the hexagon. Go back to draw. Go for polygon. It is 6-sided. And it is centered at this point. So we can draw it like this, then make it purely horizontal. Then we can dimension. the vertical distance between this and this was given as 12. Then I can trim off what I don't need by modifying. Don't need this line here. Okay, one side is finished, then we can go for the other side. The other side, we have an opening, so we can draw that. It is also centered. I can still use a rectangle. Can use a rectangle with a fillet of 2.5. Okay. So rectangle, auto fillet, and I can draw it like this. Then I can make it symmetric still. Along this line, this point, and this point. Okay. So after that, I can dimension the distance from this to this point is 10. So the distance dimension, that's the horizontal distance between this point and this point, that is h18. The distance is 10. Then can dimension the fillet. R9 as 2.5. Then the distance between the vertical distance between this and this is 12. V10 is 12. So what are we missing? Let's see. 12, 2.5, 25, 10, 12, 10. Okay. So basically that's how you sketch. So you can remove what you don't want by trimming what you don't want. Trim this, trim this, trim this. Trim everything that is not required. So finally, that is our range. So when you understand all these icons, it becomes very easy to sketch something. Sketching looks very easy when you understand everything than drawing curves, this, that. So this simplifies time. So in the next module, we shall look at modeling of how to see protrusion, extrusion, to mention by a few. So thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video and hope you've learned something. Please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. See you next time. Ciao.